All right, all right, all right. Happy Saturday. What's going on, my people? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing out there? Got another Saturday on the Shoulders of Giants live for you all. Thank you for being up in here. Welcome, 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 welcome. Of course, you know, another good conversation for us today. We're having a real conversation. Of course, we're going to have a little fun, but we're having another real conversation because we're doing a deep dive into internalized inferiority and how that plays out in our everyday behavior, and how our everyday behavior is destructive because of the internalized inferiority. What's going on, Renee? How you doing this afternoon? Happy Saturday to you. Social conditioning, to be able to shape the mind of a group of people to be able to serve your interest. That's what we're getting into, because that's what happened. That's what happened to us. That's a part of our story. I know a lot of times, Kiki, what's going on? How you doing? Infinity Bliss, what's going on? How you doing this afternoon? Thank y'all for being here. A lot of times we don't like to talk about what happened to us, the bad parts. Oh yeah, yes. That's what I'm talking about. See, Infinity, that's what I'm getting to. We need to be able to address what happened so we can fix it, so we can heal it. Healing starts after you address what's going on, after you accept what's going on, after you acknowledge what happened to you in reality, acknowledging that, right? That's when healing can start. It's like if I break my leg and I never acknowledge that I broke my leg, how do I heal my leg properly so I can get back to the same mobility or even better mobility that I had before I broke my leg? So I break my leg and I act like my wrist hurt. But meanwhile, I can't walk. And I'm blaming the reason why I can't walk on all other factors other than me addressing what happened to me. Now, I didn't break my leg. Somebody else broke my leg, but they're not going to fix my leg, but it's my leg. And if I want to walk, if I want to run, if I want to jump, if I want to be able to move, to be mobile like I've always been mobile, I might need to address my broken leg. Once again, I didn't break my leg. Somebody else broke my leg. But they're not going to heal me. They refuse to heal me. I can't make them heal me. So it's up to me to heal myself. That's the key. It's up to us to heal ourselves. But we need to be able to understand fully what has happened to us. And if we don't have that full understanding, then, you know, like Neela Fuller said, we're going to be perpetually confused about everything else that we seek to understand. So over here, we want to make sure we're countering that. We want to make sure that we are actually going to the scholars and our thinkers that gave us the information, making sure we understand the information and then utilizing the information, but also get to a point to where we are contributing and furthering the information. Not just recycling and parroting everything, but we are contributing to it and adding our piece to the story and making sure we put all the pieces of the puzzle together so we can come up with some kind of strategy that's going to make us better. So that's what we're getting into today. Internalized inferiority breeds a divided community, right? The video that inspired this live stream is the third video we're going to get to today. A gentleman named Andre Williams. We dealt with Andre Williams before. The live stream that I did on the mind of the mixed race people and the guy Andre Williams giving his ultra conservative view. It's a black guy, so he's on the Soft White Underbelly YouTube channel, and he's breaking down the 4 kinds of Black Americans. But that just made me think about the internalized inferiority that we have when he was explaining things, and also within him. So we're going to analyze that. But we have 2 other videos that we're going to do to help set our foundation before we get to his video. So by the time we get to his video, we have a proper framework to move forward with to help our understanding of what he's saying. So we're going to start with the doll test, the video of the doll test, the classic video showing the young black kids making choices between the dolls. So we're going to show how this internalized inferiority starts early. Then we're getting into maybe not the whole thing, but a good portion of this Dr. Joy DeGruy lecture at the DuSable African American Museum. And then we're going to get into the soft white underbelly video with Andre Williams. He says, while I'm talking to another black person, I can see the insecurity while I'm talking. It's there and they don't want to talk about racism. I mean, you're right, AA. You're right, it's there. We've been socialized, we've been beat down, we've been programmed so much in this position to, it's like it disturbs our peace to deal with the reality. It disturbs our comfort to deal with the reality. And then at the end of the day, and I'm gonna continue to say this, at the end of the day, we know if we actually address it, that means we actually have to do something about it. And that means real work. And that means actually opposing something. And that means shaking up the system as well. And that means putting a target on your back. And that means a whole lot of other things that black folk don't want to deal with. But you know, we like to praise everybody who's done those things, but we won't do those things ourselves. So, you know, man, it's a good Saturday. It's a good Saturday. It's hot outside, but we making this thing happen. So please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, share this channel, make sure everybody knows what's going on. YouTube is hating. YouTube hating on my videos in this algorithm. Just 2 months ago, I was booming. Now, you know, so please hit that like button, hit that hype button. Make sure you share this with as many people as possible so they can get this information, so our people can get this information, so we can get our stuff together. I'm just a piece of the puzzle. I'm not saying I have the answer. I just got some information that I'm trying to spread. So let's do this. You said, right. For some, it causes unraveling to acknowledge. Yep, most aren't prepared. You already know that. You already know. But over here, man, look, that's why we're training ourselves to be better over here, right? We got to be tough over here. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. So before we get deeper, once again, please hit that like button, hit that hype button as well. And let me run my commercial, and then we're going to go ahead and dive on in. So I told y'all I was going to get my merch shop up and running. So I've got it. So I want to show y'all my merch shop. So this is it. So I got some hats. So I got my own The Shoulders of Giants hats available for order. I have shirts. This supposed to be like a canvas, some kind of shirt, jersey shirt. I don't know why they got that design, but it's a jersey shirt. Somebody wanted. Got hoodies, regular shirts, heavy, what they call it, the heavy tee, tees for men's, unisex tees for women, everything. I got a mug. I gotta get this mug too. But this is the merch that I have available. See, I got my mug, I have my hats, and I have my apparel available. And all of that is, the links and stuff are below and connected to the video. So I got my merch shop up and running, been working on that for a minute in the background to get my merch shop up and running. So I got it up and running. So if you want to support the channel, get you some merch, it's all available, links below and links attached to the video. All right. So let's do this. Okay, I see you tuning in from Myrtle Beach. Shout out to South Carolina. I actually like South Carolina. I've been to Myrtle Beach before. Myrtle Beach was pretty cool. It reminded me of Panama City Beach here in Florida. So shout out to Myrtle Beach. Shout out to South Carolina. Last time I was there, I was in Blenheim, Bennettsville, and Sherrall, South Carolina for the country style cook-off. So yeah, shout out to y'all out there, man. So like I said, our topic today is something that, in my opinion, don't get enough attention. It's not talked about enough, but it affects everything we do. And one also understanding that most people really don't know this, but that's why we got to bring more attention to it. And of course, like the title is, that thing is internalized inferiority, right? Most of the time when we talk about Black experience, the Black experience in America, we focus on what has been done to us externally, racism, discrimination, and inequality. So that's why today we're taking a deeper turn, we're taking another turn, we're looking inside, right? We're going to talk about what happened when those external conditions begin to shape what's going on inside of us. According to thinkers like Frantz Fanon, when the people are oppressed long enough, they don't just experience oppression, they begin to internalize it. They begin to see themselves through the eyes of the system that oppressed them. And once that happens, the battle changes. Now, you're not just fighting external forces, you're fighting internal beliefs. Dr. Amos Wilson warned us about this. He said that when the people lose control of their thinking, they can be made to act against their own best interest. And if we're honest, we can see that today. We see it a lot today. We see division where there should be unity. We see competition where there should be cooperation. We see destruction where there should be building. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing took it even further when she argued that confusion and division within the Black community are not accidents. They are necessary for the system to continue functioning, because a divided people cannot build power. But here's the piece that really brings it all together, right? Dr. Joy DeGroot introduced the concept of post-traumatic slave syndrome. And what she showed is that we're not just dealing with history, we're dealing with unhealed trauma that has been passed down from generation to generation. So what we're seeing today is the anger, the disconnection, the lack of trust, the identity struggles. They may not all be cultural problems. Let's look at them more so as trauma responses, unhealed trauma responses, right? And if that's true, then we have to approach our whole existence differently, right? Because you cannot build a healthy community on top of unhealthy psychological foundations, right? So once again, today we're going to break this down. We're going to connect the history, the psychology, and the behavior. And most importantly, we're going to talk about what's going on for us to heal, rebuild, and move forward as a people. Because if we don't fix what's happening to the mind, i.e., if we don't heal our broken leg, we will never fix what's happening in our reality. We will never be able to walk again. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this thing. So our first video, like I said, is this doll test. And this shows how the inferiority starts from a young age. Let me share my screen and let's do this. Please hit that like button.
Which doll is white? Which doll is black? Which one is pretty? This one.
Which one is pretty?
There you go. There you go, Afro.
Which one is ugly? And which one is good? Which one is bad? Which one is good? Why is she good?
Because she has blue eyes.
Which one is bad? Why is she bad?
Because everything is black. And which doll looks more like you? Which doll is black? She offended me
Who?
You. Why?
because you called me black.
Why are you offended? You.
Offend me because other girls have insulted me in a mean way. No, I didn't use any meanness. That one is looking at me askance.
From an early age. From an early age. Matter of fact, let's put that back. Let's run it. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. From an early age, it's embedded in our brains, in our psyche, in our behavior, in the way we see ourselves. Did you see the young black girl with the afro when he asked her which one was ugly? And she put her head down because before then she was saying that the black one was the good one. But then when he asked which one was ugly, she put her head down because now she's struggling with it. Hey man, look Renee. But it also shows that all over the world, the darker you are, the lower class the world sees you. The lower class, the world needs you to see yourself, especially the system of white supremacy. All over the world, the darker you are, the worse you are treated. The darker you are, the more of the inhumane treatment you get. But these young kids see themselves as bad and ugly and unworthy and less than when it comes to be compared to white people or others who are lighter than them already at a young age, right? So we're talking about internalized inferiority, but within our black community, but within the darker communities around the world. And remember, this is not accidental. None of this is accidental or purely individual. All of this is a result of historical conditioning, psychological restructuring, distorting the identity of a people, cultural domination, all of that on top of unresolved trauma. Remember, this is not dysfunction without cause. This is patterned behavior rooted in systematic design to sustain trauma, which will sustain the system of white supremacy. It says, how can most not feel inferior? The major components that we use to sustain life is built on their foundation: banking, medical, food protection, shelter, resilience is built on self-reliance. You're right, but that's it. Understanding what happened so we can work to reverse it. We know we were created to be inferior, but we don't have to stay there. We can make the choice to remain inferior, or we can take our power, or we can become powerful. But yes, you are correct. We're behind enemy lines. We're in a system that's designed to make sure that we understand that we are inferior to them. But it's on us to continue to buy into it. It says the questions they asked weren't appropriate to ask children without their parents present. Hey, you right. Well, let's go through it.
Which doll is white?
See, look at it. So
Which doll is black?
So hold on, let's go back real quick. Let's see this young girl, I want us to pay attention to her in particular in this. Notice her face. In the beginning, this first question, when it's asking these questions, she got the smile on her face. Notice how this smile starts to fade as it goes. Renee says, that's our fault. I experienced something similar with an 11-year-old last year when I gave her little black ice skater. She held it for a while and then she put it down. Yeah, because I mean, like I said, when I was growing up in my house, we had images of nothing but black people in my home. Before I even got into the world, my parents was instilling that, you know, black is good. It's good to be black. I was looking at images of black kings, black queens. I was looking at images of black people who've done great things. I was hearing stories of black people who've done great things. So a part of my foundation before I even got out into the world, and my dad, even though I'm not understanding what my dad is saying, but my dad is telling us that, no, this is the stuff that we're gonna experience when we go out into the world. And as I got older, I started to understand more. But part of the foundation before I got out into the world and why I had high self-esteem for myself for a good part of my life, as far as being black. I've always loved being black because it was taught to me from a young age. But I understand that was my individual household. Most of us don't grow up like that. And if you don't grow up with being able to learn to love your blackness and your foundation from the beginning, this is gonna be the outcomes. We know most of us have inferiority complex, but let me say this: even though my foundation was that, when I went out into the world, I still had struggles making sure, or struggles with maintaining that love of blackness because of the barrage of the negativity that we get. Hell, I didn't even grow up deep in the hood, but I was close enough. I didn't even grow up like deep in the hood where all the issues was, but I was close enough. But hell, they drilled into our head so much that as a young black boys, you're not gonna make it past 21. They drilled it into our head so much. I actually used to believe when I was a teenager that I wouldn't make it till I was 21, because they told it to us so much. The story was so much that young black boys won't make it. The social messaging, the social conditioning, the social environments, they matter. That's why what goes on in the home is so important. Having a strong foundation in your home is important, but having strong families, healthy families, those things are important to set the proper foundation for our children before they go out into the world and be this barraged by all this racism and all this white supremacy.
Which doll is black? Which one is pretty? This one.
See now they starting to struggle, and she's faking this smile. She's starting to struggle, even though she thinks the white doll is pretty, but she wants to be pretty as well. But she just identified with the black doll.
Which one is pretty?
Now look at her. See, now the smile, and she's proud of it, and that's why I'm like, yes. So she got some kind of foundation in there. But now watch when the societal factors start to come in, because her whole face is going to change. Look at this. This is what we want. This thing. This is what we want. But wait till the societal factors come in. You right, Renee. We have to prepare ourselves and our children for the war, and we can't lie to them about it. Like Infinity is saying, war waged. War is being waged upon us, and we can't lie to our children about it. That's one thing I always loved about my dad. My dad never sugarcoated anything. My dad didn't know how to hide the world from us. FM, what's going on, my brother? How you doing, man? My dad didn't know how to sugarcoat stuff or how to hide the world from us, or how not to just be straight up. And so from even a young age, like in elementary school and in preschool, my dad was being straight up with us about how the world is. Like I say, I've never heard my dad use the word white people. It's crackers. And he was always talking about them in a specific manner. And now I get it, because it's the war he was talking about it. There you go. So
Which one is ugly?
he doesn't like that. And so
And which one is good?
see, she now, even the young black girl with the afro, she said the white one was ugly. Now when they're talking about good and bad, things start to change.
Which one is
look.
bad?
See, look. See, even her, all of them are struggling with this because they identify with this black dog, but society has told them already at their young ages, they've been programmed by the society that they're bad, that blackness is bad.
Which one is good?
Even him, he's not even black. Look at her face.
Why is she good?
Look at her face.
Because she has blue eyes.
White features.
Which one is bad?
Think about all her answers. The black one is beautiful. The white one is ugly. But now the black one is bad. Social conditioning.
Why is she bad?
Because everything is black. And which doll looks more like you?
Whole face has changed. Her whole face has changed. She went from the smile, from that big, proud smile, to all of her self-esteem being ripped away from her. So, but this is what happens when we don't have a real community in place. We don't have real protections in place. That's what happens. Our children are vulnerable. Our children, their brains get scrambled up early. So by the time they become adults, they're just another cog in the wheel. They're just another person with a ninja mindset. Because remember, they want all of us to have a ninja mindset. They want all of us to be walking around with ninja mindsets, spewing ninja logic, doing ninja stuff, destroying ourselves. But you have to destroy our minds first. You have to get us to hate ourselves first. You have to get us to see ourselves as less than and inferior. Think about when we go back to when we was reading Black Skin, White Mask by Frantz Fanon, talking about the birth of internalized inferiority, right? Colonized people begin to see themselves through the eyes of their oppressor. I'm gonna say that once again, because now we're talking about the social cues, the social conditioning. Who runs the society? Who has the biggest influence on society? White supremacy. People begin to see themselves through the eyes of their oppressor. Their oppressor is the one who's socializing us, who's shaping how we exist. Hell, they shape the society. So, of course, the young people, our young children who are vulnerable, are being shaped by the oppressors, and they see themselves as at a young age through the eyes of their oppressor. And that's how they get to the point to where they're saying that black is bad. Because they want us to exist like ninjas. Ninja mindsets, ninja mentality, ninja logic, all of that. Because remember, that was their greatest invention. They want more ninjas than black people. Because black people actually stand up and fight back. Ninjas don't. Ninjas just look for comfortable places. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, I feel you, Renee. Thank you all for the support. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you all. But remember, one of the mechanisms that Frantz Fanon was talking about was the language, the education, the religion, and the media. They all reinforce that white is good and black is bad. Once again, the language, the education, the religion, the media all reinforce that white is good and black is bad. I'm a Dr. Umar one more time. The language, the education, and the media all reinforce that black is good. I mean, the white is good and black is bad, right? So that's continually reinforced into the minds of our young people. By the time they graduate from elementary school, they already starting to they've already learned to adopt themselves. They've already learned to hate themselves. They've already learned to devalue blackness, because black has no value. The world has told them that black has no value. So now the next step is, if black has no value and white is good, why not assimilate into whiteness? Why not distance themselves from blackness? Why not seek validation with the group that is the good group, the group that's the power group? Though this is the basis of these inferiority complexes. What's going on, black butterflies? The one who become aware needs to be more willing to withdraw their support of these tool programming us. That's what, we have to, I agree. We need to be putting our support and our tools, our resources into us the best way we can, as often as we can, to support us in any way and it's possible for as long as possible. All of our tools, all of our resources, all the things need to be pointed to us. All right, so let's get a little deeper into our foundation, or let's complete our foundation before we get into the four kinds of Black Americans that Andre Williams is going to teach us about with all of his years of scholarship. So this is Dr. Joy DeGruy, and this is one of her early lectures on post-traumatic slave syndrome. So please hit that like button, please hit that hype button, please share this with like all the people you know, so everybody can tune in and see what we got going on over here. Here we go.
Am I on? Can you hear me? Okay. I think I interviewed, is it loud enough? Okay, I don't know how you. I need to stand here. Okay. Because I move around, that's the reason why. I interviewed Malik when Malik was 27, I think. He's like, 70. Yeah. Okay. Okay. But when I interviewed Malik, I realized that most of the work I did at the university, one of the things that I just always noted is they never talked to the people they were studying. It's kind of a typical thing. There are a lot of people who never leave the computer lab. They never leave the rooms that they make assessments about us. And I always felt like, you need to talk to the people. My father always said, if you want to know who a person is, you need to talk to them. They'll tell you who they are. And so I struggled. Actually, the name of my dissertation was African-American Male Youth Violence, Trying to Kill the Part of You That Isn't Loved, which was a statement that Malik made to me during that interview, is that so many of the brothers were trying to kill the part of them that wasn't loved. And so the foundation.
Think about what she just said. She did a study on, the violence of Black men, but part of that thesis title was trying to kill the part of them that wasn't loved. That's deep, right? Because that's getting to that, though, the lack of interpersonal relationships. What happened to them between the relationship between those young men and their parents? The lack, most likely the lack of relationship with their mothers, the lack of relationship with their fathers, the lack of relationship with siblings, the lack of relationship with other family members, or even anybody else in the world. When you get to a point where you want to kill a part of yourself that you hate, that means you never learned to love yourself in the beginning. That's what that means. That means the environments that the environment that you grew up in was not conducive for you to be loved, or for you to even know how to be loved, or for you to even learn how to love others. But once again, that is by design. Dr. Amos Wilson talked about psychological misorientation. That's, in our Monday readings when we reading the Blueprint for Black Power. The idea is oppressed groups can be conditioned to act against their own survival interest. We're talking about things that lead to a lack of group economics, weak institutional building, and internal conflict and disunity, because we don't trust each other. We don't love each other. We don't see each other as valuable. We've internalized the inferiority. We've internalized the hatred. We've internalized all the negativity that the system of white supremacy has taught us about ourselves, which is not true. But now we're in a day and time to where the conditioning is so deep that a number of us see it as validation to live up to the negative stereotypes. And then others validate it by saying, hey, well, that's just them being them. Well, that's just them behaving like they were programmed to be destructive. If a people do not control their own thinking, their thinking will be controlled by those who control their reality. One more time. If a people do not control their own thinking, their thinking will be controlled by those who control their reality. Remember that.
Piece of my work was that very thing. My work, how many of you are familiar with post-traumatic? Actually, the last time I spoke here, I hadn't written the book, I don't believe, but I was on my way. And the work actually really came out of, I'm so pleased to hear Dr. Reed, because your work, I was over there kind of getting goose pimples, because it all converges. It's all part of it. The problem is we don't have enough people in this room to have heard that. That's a problem. And namely our youth. If you were to just look around the room, you see that the average age of the person here, there's something going on in our communities where it's not being transmitted. Are you following me? And so what we have got to do, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason why the youth aren't here and don't believe they need to be. Don't understand that they're missing anything. Randall Robinson wrote the foreword to my book. And Randall said to me, Joy, the worst thing you can do to a people is to rob them of the memory of themselves. If you do not know who you are, you cannot possibly know where you're going.
Straight up.
It's not possible. So
I'm with you, Black Butterflies. Definitely talking to the adults. Because even getting to one thing she just said that I have some pushback on. Of course, the youth won't be there because the adults are not making sure they get there. The youth won't be there because the adults are not making sure that this type of information, these type of environments are the ones that we should be in. Like growing up, like on a Saturday morning, me as a child, if you give me the option of watching all my Saturday cartoons or coming to a Dr. Joy DeGroot lecture, as a child, you leave it up to me. Where do you think I'm going? What do you think I'm doing? I'm going to watch cartoons. But if I'm in an environment where it was presented to me and it's seen as something valuable and it's been incorporated into my life, and then my parents just make sure I'm here. Because the adults be acting like they don't have the power over the children. My kids don't put the phone down. Take it from them. It ain't like they brought it. Take it from them. The adults are part of the problem. You're right, Black Butterflies. The adults, I believe a lot of the adults have forgot that they are adults. You complain about a 2-year-old who crying because you took the tablet from her. Okay. Like they never cried before and like they're not going to cry again. Better foundations have to be set. And once again, better foundations are not going to be set in survival units. Most of the births that are happening in our community are not even planned. People just out here hunching. So if that's the genesis of somebody's life, people just out here hunching. Oops. Now we just got to try to figure this out. Hopefully my parents can read. But we're talking about too many generations of us existing like this. Too many ninjas, not enough black people.
I think that one of the things that my work
Thank
did
you, Infinity.
was it
Thank
started
you.
to kindle in me an understanding of what needed to be said, and that we have to say it first on the ground. Like, it's very interesting that the first thing I did was you all know, because I started on the ground. Most of my work was in the community and continues to be in the community. 25 years, I worked specifically, with families, individuals, children, adults in the African American community and other communities of color. It was later that the book emerged and other folks started to realize that I'd written it. Namely the larger universities, Columbia, Harvard, Oxford University, I presented. And what was interesting about it is they were just finding out about it. But I wanted it to start on the ground because that's where it needed to be. You note that I'm saying creating a blueprint for healing. I rarely get to that part of my workshop or my presentation. I've written a study guide which should be coming out hopefully before the end of the year, which really operationalizes how we heal from this thing I call post-traumatic slave syndrome. I'm gonna move quickly because some of you, I know that there's not a lot of time. It's thick, the material is thick. One of the things that I feel is also very important is we have to go about the idea of creating this body of work. We already know it's true, first of all. When I came up with post-traumatic slave syndrome, I didn't have to go look at nothing. I could just go look in a mirror. That's all I needed to do. But I needed to also move it to an empirical body of work that we could actually test and research. And that's so that it can move into arenas that are going to afford us the ability to reach out and to heal our people on a broader level. Because we already know it's true. I would love to think I came up with something unique. It isn't unique. You know, W.E.B., Ida B. Wells, Carter G. Woodson, it goes on and on and on. I'm standing on the shoulders of some pretty profound people who already knew, most of whom could not publish in referee journals because of racism, but published on this many, many years ago. Mm-hmm. I believe that part of our problem is that we have not been told the truth.
Right.
We aren't telling the truth.
Right.
We've not been told the truth.
Right.
And our children are inheriting lies.
Right.
And it is those lies, those secrets that make us sick.
And even we are spreading those lies.
Sick. I think that we have to understand the role that history has played in contemporary culture and in the contemporary injuries that we see. First thing that people have said to me, because it's interesting the pushback you get whenever you're talking about history. You get pushback. Oh, Pete, get over it, huh? You people, who are you trying to blame now? What excuses are you people trying to make? I wasn't there, and you're free now, aren't you? It's like when you say slavery, it evokes such, visceral.
And not only do we need our schools, we need us supporting our schools, supporting the schools that's actually doing something, that actually have children in them. And also what we have to do too is be honest with ourselves, because a lot of black folk been out here supporting scammers, and then they get mad because people been telling them that they scammers, they've been supporting scammers, then get mad, right? But then when the people who are actually really doing things are out here, now everybody want to be skeptical about support. That's part of the conditioning too. Now everybody want to be skeptical about the support when you can actually go see the tangible results over here with these people, but you're skeptical now. But for this person who couldn't show you any tangible anything, You just like what they said. You didn't need anything to support them, but now you're scorned. Nah, have to keep that same supporting energy. But the problem with us is we will find any excuse, and that's a part of the conditioning. Once again, we will find any excuse to not support something that has actual tangible outcomes. We don't want to support that. We want to support the stuff that make us feel good rather than things that are actually good for us, which is a part of the problem.
Response in people. Visceral, like, how dare you even say the words, and all of that comes out just for saying the word slavery. Just, I dare you. Go out in public and say it. They'll take you down. But you can say Holocaust. Isn't that interesting? Matter of fact, they got 3 new movies coming out. 3 new ones.
You can get grants.
See, so
you can, but if you, it depends on what level of autonomy you want.
Because they're not confused about their Holocaust. They honor their Holocaust. And we don't honor ours, largely because we don't know what our Holocaust. We don't understand what it is.
Yeah, we got black people trying to say the slave trade didn't happen.
The work that I'm looking at right now has to do with the role that shame plays with us as a people.
Oh yeah,
we just
hate
don't
shame.
want Mr. Jimmy to think we complaining.
We despise shame.
Heaven forbid I seem like a victim. All of these things come up the moment we talk about our history. Those are the shoulders we stand on. How is it that we feel such, One of the things that happened to me recently is
it's like I saw a video the other day. It's like one of them black girls who's one of them conservatives, them black conservative knee livers. Literally was like, she thanked God for slavery, because if slavery wouldn't have happened, we wouldn't have a chance to be in America. It's like our people are so messed up, like too much ninja stuff. And I keep telling y'all, ninjas don't just look like the people in the hood. Ninjas come in all shapes, size, forms, and fashions. But this young lady, another young black lady, who's saying, thank God for slavery, because if it weren't for slavery, we wouldn't have a chance to be in the greatest nation in the world. As if America is the greatest nation to ever exist in humanity. As if nothing great was happening in the world and other places before this, because people choose to be, at this point, being grown, people are choosing to be ignorant. People are choosing that okay, this white stuff is where it's at, because the white man saved us. Somebody challenged us, was asking, so you saying like all these millions of people had to die so the white man could build their stuff and they could just allow you just to be a part of it? Because remember, participation don't mean ownership. Participation don't mean power. Participation don't mean nothing but just that, participation. But that's the problem with a lot of us with this internalized inferiority. Hey, Nemesis says, black people been yapping about our own schools, just stop it. We don't want it because you can't have a school without all the infrastructure to support the school. Well, and we ain't trying to, well, I just did my rant about support, so you already know. Got to figure out we're dealing with 500 plus years of programming. Yep. You can't cheat culture. You either go all in or you don't have it. Like I said, I just did my rant on the schools and support. So yeah. Welcome, Nemesis. Welcome. Let's continue.
To Ghana. And I just got back from Ghana, in fact. And I took 3 days off to go spend with my brother, Oscar DeGru, in Los Angeles so that I could get spiritually recentered, so I can get up and talk to folk. That's how deep Ghana was. Ghana was so deep that I would have written the book differently had I known what I learned in Ghana. And what I learned in Ghana is you've been lied to. You've been bamboozled. You've been hoodwinked. You've been had. And I know that on a level I've never known it before, because you see, I had a chance to see us unspoiled. I went into the villages. I looked into the faces of the people who lived in villages, and I went all through the different cities, and I looked at, and I went, oh my God, we don't know who we are. You see, we bought the lie and we've become it. It is, I can't even tell you, I can't go there because I go to another place. So I'm gonna start with, the numbers, first of all, of those who got to the slave castles. This is Cape Coast Slave Castle. We don't have any numbers. And they were marched from the interior to the coast. People who had never seen the ocean or heard its roar. And we don't know how many died on the way through exhaustion. We don't know how many were beaten to death and how many died fighting back. We don't know. And we later found out that those that did make it were held there sometimes over a year.
Hey, Nemesis. Hey, man, you already know what it is. You already know what it is. Because we know we be faking. We know, like, come on, man. We know we be faking. Black people know we be faking. But I just want us to know that we know that we faking. And we know why we faking. But we know we faking. Because let's just be real. If black people wanted to support certain things and wanted to make sure those things grow, we could do it. We choose not to. We could support things if we wanted to, but we don't. We need as much stuff for ourselves as possible, but the support has to be there. Nobody's stopping us from supporting our own things, but understanding why we do what we do. Emmanuel says, I studied the sciences in college, nursing, then a bachelor's in chemistry. In the Army, I worked for 2 genetic and psychic experts and physics experts who told me we were everywhere on the planet in the millions. Hey, I mean, of course, like black people have populated the globe, but we haven't aggregated any kind of real power to put ourselves in a position to do anything for us on a national scale or a global scale to put us in a good spot, a powerful spot. So
in these dungeons. Now, this is a male slave dungeon. And I'm giving you this picture so you can see there's no running water. I know you've heard about the dungeons, but it's really different when you're standing in them, where you can still smell the stench. Because there is, of course, only there's a little, latrine. You can't see it in this picture. Where it's just a little, where all the feces and urine and everything else just kind of was just there with you. Now, this is what it looked like when the light was on. This is what it looks like when the light is off. Those 3 holes there are the only source of light and ventilation for these spaces where hundreds of people were packed. I want you to look at this. This is UNESCO discovered this when they were trying to renovate the castle for public viewing. They were trying to dig into the earth, couldn't figure out why they couldn't level it, and they were digging through 2 feet of human waste that had solidified. Now, the thing that made it difficult for me was who these folks believed they were. This is Elmina Castle. This is a death cell. Now, let me kind of give you, this was a cell when men refused to be slaves. This is where you were put. And once you were put in this cell, you knew you weren't coming out, hence the crossbones. You were going to die there. So they stopped giving you water, food.
Will, what's going on, my brother?
The big hole that you see there is not for that particular cell.
Yeah,
the only source of ventilation are the tiny holes.
I'm gonna try to get on the show, man. I'm gonna try to get on the podcast.
There's no other source of ventilation. So
I'm gonna reach out and try to have us as a guest.
Starve, and suffocate to death. That's how they die. And I don't have a slide here of the carvings in the floor, but they carved what almost looks like art as they were dying, crying out to the ancestors to rescue their souls from this place. Now, this is the cell next door, which is for the white soldiers who were held for 24 hours. Notice the latticed door.
I gotta find the contact information.
Huge hole is their window. There's another one on the other side. This is where they were held for 24 hours. So they made it very, very clear what was important. Now, when I was looking at the women's slave dungeon, let me just kind of explain to you why I needed my brother to work with me when I left. I had a couple of meltdowns. A couple of meltdowns. The first meltdown I had was when we got to the female death cell. And normally these were women who fought back and refused to be raped. Now, I wasn't prepared for this. None of this. You know, you cannot prepare yourself for this. And it was a mixed group that went in. I didn't know there was going to be a mixed group of folks going in, okay? And I probably could have been okay with that because there were a couple there. There was a white couple there that just, well, shut up. They didn't say anything. And you could see in their faces and in their bodies that they were impacted by this. But then there were others who didn't get that cue. So we got to the female death cell. There was an older white couple. And as the historian was explaining how these women died and the conditions under which they lived, this older white woman said, yes, but look at the architecture. You see, because she felt like, this is where the meltdown occurred, because I told her, you don't get to do that.
And see, this is where a disconnect. So I love Dr. Joy DeGruy. I love her. I love her. I love her. I love her. But I got to say this. And this is where we have a disconnect with them. And not understanding that they have a disconnect with us. Those white people have no connection to the suffering that black people, that those African people experienced in those slave dungeons and those slave castles. Of course she would look at the architecture. I mean, and I hear you, Dr. Joy DeGruy, but you telling her she don't get to say that, don't change it. That doesn't make her have the same feelings and the same empathy for the African people. And she's saying that, you know, she's in the feelings and that, but it's like, once again, coming from that position of inferiority, understanding that, hey, this is what happened to us, all these things, but the white people like, hey man, all right, we here for the architecture, we here for that. It doesn't hit the same with them. And you can go off on it later all you want, but once again, that's not gonna build that connection. Urugu. Right, exactly. You say they moved, bro, again, man. We got to talk more about that. They keep moving them around. That's crazy. But yeah, they are, those white people are removed from that in the same way that we would be.
And I also said I should have an option to not have to be here with her. And they said to me, they apologized. They said, we actually do have a tour where you don't. I said, I would have preferred that. Because she couldn't be appropriate. Let me explain what was going on. Her privilege said to her, this is uncomfortable for me. I am on another continent. And I'm getting ready to tell you what direction this is going to move in. Because this is uncomfortable for me.
That's called white power. It's called white power. It's called white privilege. The white woman been doing that her whole life. She gonna stop now because she on tour with you? Come on, Doc. Come on now. We know better.
That's how far-reaching the privilege was, you see. So I had a few problems with that. This particular slide,
she was in her feelings on that.
And these are the stairs leading from the bedroom of the governor. Let's get it clear. Directly into the female slave. This goes to his bedroom. Now, this is a Christian man. His family lives there with him because we were, of course, visited those quarters too. But he wanted to have complete access to those black women who did not receive baths, anything. He said, clean that one up for me. And it wasn't enough for him to bring them in the back door or, you know, some other way. He had it built so he had free access. You following me? This was one of the things they would actually chain black women to who resisted being raped in a public square, and they would literally die chained naked to this ball because they fought back. And I'm putting this forward to you not for you to feel all achy and weird inside. I want you to understand the context of how this thing happened.
Also, there's a history behind the breaking of the mentality of Black people, of African people. You have to make a slave. Like, understand that a slave has to be made. Your mentality has to be broken. Your way of life has to be taken away from you. You have to be led to believe and led to see the world through somebody, to go from one worldview to the other in such a short time. Remember, it was beaten into them. Remember the process of what butt breaking actually was. You taking the biggest slave, you restrain that slave, and basically a whole bunch of down low white boys running the train on a Black man. Right? To break his mentality, to make him into a slave, to using physical punishment to break his psyche, to break his mentality. And then you're gonna make sure that you reinforce that. We didn't just get here because white people just walked up to us one day and said, "You're Black bad." No, we got here because of the physical torture, the mental torture, the psychological torture, the terror. We were terrorized since white folks showed up in Africa. Our people have been terrorized. We are a group of unhealed, terrorized people. I'm gonna say that again. We are a group of unhealed, terrorized people who've been terrorized for over 400 to 500 years. And for the majority of us, it has not been addressed. That's why we behave the way we behave. That's why we see the world the way we see the world, through our oppressor's eyes. That's why we see ourselves through the eyes of the oppressor, the inferior ones.
And how people could retain a sense of dignity through it all. We've seen this slide so much, it's almost like a cartoon. This is the size. This actually is the size of a high school auditorium stage, not too big, much about this size. And it is where they all were packed like sardines together. And you know, like I said, when I talk about,
I think all of us have a slave mentality. It's just to the degree of what that slave mentality is based off the amount of healing that individual may have had. But I don't think for any of us who exist, I don't think the slave mentality is gone in any of us because of the constant reinforcement of it in the society and the way the society is set up. But it can be greatly reduced. But I don't think for any of us, because we don't have systems in place to make sure that the slave mentality is totally eradicated. So I don't think that it's gone in all of us. Even me, I still have slave mentality. We all still have slave mentality, but to the degree of what it is depends on how much work we've done on ourselves and the environments and all these different things. So it's a lot that goes into it, because remember, it was a lot that went into creating the slave mentality, and so it's going to be a lot in reversing that. Also, we're talking a 400 or 500 year process, so it might be a 400 or 500 year process to reverse that. So. Says we're all suffering from the remnants of slavery. Yep. Long live Nat Turner. I'm an elder and I'm done with the slave. You say you done with it? I think I ain't gonna go back and forth with nobody, but I think we all still have some of it in us because of the environment that we're in. And once again, we don't have the systems to fully combat it like we're supposed to. But I think it could be greatly reduced in us, depending on the environments we come up in, foundation, all those things. So I could be wrong, and I'm not saying I have the answer. I'm not saying you have to agree with me, but that's how I look at it.
Numbers, how many Jewish people died during the Holocaust? You see how well you know that? I'm not mad that you know that. because you were taught that. It's been etched into your memory forever. And you have never gotten a lesson, I can guarantee you, about the numbers that died during the Middle Passage of slavery. You didn't get a class about that. I can guarantee you learned that far later. Even the books that publish it have only been published of late. Even though we know there was documentation based on ship manifests of the numbers that died. And there's no number, again, like those who walked from the interior to the West Coast. So we know the low figure, and this is in the Communist Manifesto, if you want to see it, is 9 million. That's the lowest figure on record. How could we not know? And then we have to understand why they died in such numbers, because this place was about 18 inches between people. This is where they slept. It's where they wept. It's where they ate. It's where they defecated. It's where they urinated. It's where they menstruated. It's where they vomited. It's where they sometimes gave birth and died. 18 inches of space between them. There is not a plaque. There's not a statue. There's not a day of remembrance for them.
Right.
Those on whose shoulders they stand. How can that be? Even now, 2008, with the apology intact, you have no acknowledgement, and there is a reason for that. We start with James. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here with him. I'm going to tell you, because I tell everyone everywhere I go, and I just spoke in Bermuda where they all look like this when they get together. You should always be concerned when you see folks dressed this way. It's just a general experience I've had. If you see them dressing up like this, something wrong. And so one of the things that I realized about this whole idea of slavery, because the pushback you get around slavery is, let me give you a few of them because I know you get them. Well, one, of course, you're free, and that's questionable, but let's look at the whole idea that people say, well, slavery is not a new institution. Other people have had slaves, So why are you tripping? Slavery is not new. However, American chattel slavery does not have a likeness. It's not like, so this slavery is far different from any of the sense of slavery that existed prior to it. It differed in the manner in which a person became a slave. It differed in the treatment of slaves. It differed in the length of servitude. And most of all, it differed in the way owners treated their slaves, or their whole belief about their slaves. And part of that way of looking at the slaves had to do with dehumanization, different than other forms of slavery. Most people who became slaves in other societies became slaves as a result of war. Two societies went to war, the winners enslaved the losers. Sometimes in a case like Rome, where you had a more dominant society, would make war on a weaker state and steal the manpower. Europeans, however, systematically turned the shipping, capturing, selling of other human beings into a business that would develop into the backbone of an entire economy, providing the foundation for the world's wealthiest nation.
Now, another point in the internalized inferiority, and through the internalized inferiority leads to a need to assimilate. Because remember, here in America, in these United States of America, unfortunately, the person who introduced chattel slavery, or the person who fought for the legal institution of chattel slavery, was a black man named Anthony Johnson. I think in like 1620 or 1630 something. He had slaves and he wanted to keep them for life, and he sued for it, and here we are with chattel slavery. But once again, it's the assimilation. She's given us a foundation of what happened to the mind of African people, period, when the white folks showed up, period. And then this is the stuff that's happening when they get shipped over here to America. Then everything that happened when they got to America, and all of this terrorism, All of this terrorism has happened until we getting down to where we are today in 2026 and seeing how we exist. That's why we haven't built anything for ourselves in 2026. But think about it. There was a time in America where black people were forced to build and black people did build. And then it was destroyed. So two factors in that. We were forced to build and then it was destroyed. So the fact that we were forced to build is one factor that we don't like to talk about. That goes into our conditioning, right? And then it was destroyed. So we have been deterred from truly building our own because we are afraid that white people will retaliate. But also, the main thing that we always overlook is we were forced to build. People who don't have an inferiority complex don't have to be forced to build. We will automatically build because we will see the value in having our own and working together. So I'm just saying. So I'm gonna let this play a little bit, and then we're gonna get to Mr. Andre Williams and really put this internalized inferiority on display.
That is different. And we need to be very, very clear about that it's about power and money. It was then and it is now. Never changed.
Power,
And
money,
we have
land,
to
and resources.
understand that in the context. And when you read this statement, this was basically the Three-Fifths Compromise. And the Three-Fifths Compromise wasn't too different from what happened in Florida. Because here's what happened. In the Constitutional Convention, they were trying to figure out, this was opportunity to abolish slavery. Of course, the Southerners wanted to keep it because they were slave owners, Northerners. It wasn't really about trying to, can we all get along? It had to do about money and power. They saw this opportunity to abolish slavery. One state was the only state that decided it wasn't going to go along with abolishing slavery, would not be part of the Union if they abolished slavery, which curtailed the whole discussion and tabled it, making slavery legal under the Constitution. Does anybody know which state that was? Carolina, South Carolina, yeah.
Yep.
They were the ones that couldn't. And so they basically were stalemated. So now the issue was, how
Talk
are we
about
going to count slaves into the population
the
count?
legal
Now consider this.
sanctioning
Delegates
of
considered
slavery.
the more people represented in a state, the more delegates they can send to the House of Representatives, the more power they can wield, right? Well, of course, Southerners wanted to
Count the
add
slaves.
the slaves. Northerners saying you can't add them, you don't even include them as human.
Right.
How do you do that? So the Three-Fifths Compromise is, rather than each slave being counted as a person, 3/5 of a state's total slave population were counted in that total population. And this way, African people of African descent, enslaved Africans, became 3/5 of a human. Just that quickly, you see. But you can barely see in these writings that this is a human being you're talking about. This becomes very important as we move forward. Richard Oswald, another one of those people, I call him an absentee slave owner. This is the son of a Presbyterian minister, international trade of enslaved Africans, majority shareholder in Vance Island, dominant figure in Grant Oswald and Company. You should look that up. Amassed a fortune that would be worth $68 million today. That's how well he did. He never left home, so he could stay dressed up like that.
I also want us to remember something. Religion, the way we see religion, the way we experience religion, the way religion uses us, our ideologies about religion are not the same as white people. I was watching a video just earlier today, and it was getting on it. How religion has always been used to advance people's agendas. All religions in the world, all of them, every last one of them has been used to advance people's own interests. Those who are in power use religion to help reinforce their power and advance their interest. We got to understand, we're the only ones who see Christianity the way we see it. We're the only ones who see God the way we see it. We're the only ones who see religion the way we see it. No other people do. So yes, they will be Christians, son of Presbyterian ministers, ministers themselves, all these types of people. They will hold all these positions in these religious institutions. Yes, they will hold these positions. And guess what? They will still be doing evil for what we consider evil. Because they've always understood that religion is a tool to use for their advancement, to conquer, to be able to conquer people, to be able to control people. We're going to use religion for that. And religion has always been a tool to use in the dehumanization, in the enslavement. Religion has been used to help reinforce our inferiority complex. You're sitting up there, your God is the same color and same features as your oppressor. I'm just saying, we see religion different, and we have to understand that. Yep. It says, peace, J. Ward. I appreciate the conversation. Let's say enslaved Africans, as opposed to referring to our ancestors named slaves. I mean, you know, we were slaves. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, and I don't think we should sugarcoat it. I don't think we should sugarcoat it. They were slaves. They were made slaves. That's my thing. We can all say it how we want to say it. I don't get into the no, I don't really get into that like that. I think we should be honest about what happened and just say we were slaves. That's what happened to us. We was enslaved. That's just me. You know, I just think we should just say it. That's why, because we lost and was enslaved. We were defeated and were enslaved. Yes, it was Africans who were enslaved, but they were made slaves. They were part of a slave class. I get it. I'm not disagreeing with you, but you know, I just think we should just say it. That's just me.
Then we have this fellow. You all know him, right? Best known for? Yes.
Yep.
I wanted to know how he was before he founded that Amazing Grace, because it took him a long time to find that amazing grace. Let me just tell you. And let me give you an idea and understanding. Most of you are familiar with our work, know that part of my question as a social scientist is, how did a people who deem themselves superior, moral, intelligent, and civilized engage in barbaric behavior for centuries? How does one reconcile
their moral compass is different from ours?
Opposing perspective.
Their moral compass is different from ours.
And here's what I do know, and I know my fellow mental health people in the audience know, that human beings in general cannot function with too much internalized conflict. Hence, something called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is what it sounds like. Cognitive thinking discord. When people are faced with stuff that conflicts internally, they get all twisted.
Right. But that's why you define it in a specific way.
Conflict that's going on mentally, emotionally, spiritually, internally. Anything inconsistent with my beliefs and my behavior. Now, Dr. Edwin Nichols, most of you, if you haven't heard of Dr. Edwin Nichols, you need to bring him in. Dr. Nichols studied for many, many years. He is now in DC. He pioneered work in something called the philosophical aspects of cultural difference. He talked about, and he's a retired industrial psychologist, wrote his dissertation in German. I can tell you a little bit about Dr. Nichols. And as an African-American man, brilliant. He talked about and taught me about this whole notion of cognitive dissonance and how one reconciles it, especially as it relates to oppressing other people. Because generally speaking, human beings struggle when you oppress people. You know, it's just a normal thing. It's just, you don't feel good about it, right? So how does one reconcile oppressing or subjugating an entire group of people? How does one reconcile that? And Dr. Nichols says, here's a formula, you can write it down, true of any group you oppress, whether it's women or people of color, you name the group. In order to remove the dissonance associated with that behavior, you have to first justify the behavior.
Right. And hence the internalized inferiority on our part, because these are not human beings that we're doing this to. This is a lower class of, this is a class of animal that we're doing this to. This is chattel that we're doing this to. These are not human beings. We don't even have to see them. We don't even really have to go far down that road, because these people are not the same as us. They didn't see us as the same. Remember, they instilled in us that we were pretty much the same as a tool. We were even less than the cows. We were less than the dogs. Think with white people care more about their dogs than they do the humanity of black people. And that's even to this day. White people care more about their dogs than the humanity of black people. That's how you know you're dealing with a different group of people. But that goes into how you instill inferiority into a group of people, though. That's what she's getting into. That's how that works. If I don't see you as human, if I see you as a tool, if I see you as less than my dog, then yes, all of the behavior is justified. But remember, we're dealing with a group of people who are willing to do these things to themselves. We're dealing with a group of people who are willing to do these things to other groups of white people, who were doing these things to other groups of white people, not chattel slavery, but white people were terrorizing other groups of white people before they decided to click up and take over the world. And white people are still willing to terrorize other white people. So I'm gonna stop this video here. I'm gonna stop this one here for Dr. Jordan Groove for the sake of time, so we get to this last video. It's about a 30-minute video, so I want to make sure we got time for that one. But helping to set the foundation for our internalized inferiority, for us understanding the internalized inferiority. So now we're getting into this video, the soft white underbelly, the 4 kinds of Black Americans. So this guy, Andre Williams is not an expert that I know of. He's a MAGA guy. Seems like, from what I know, he's a conservative MAGA guy, and he's giving this opinion. And in this, he's talking about the 4 types of Black people that he's come up with, and he's saying, I believe he said, Black people, Negroes, niggas, and niggers. But even in him, we're going to be analyzing the inferiority complex. So please hit that like button. If you have not already, please hit that like button. It's free, and it helps more people to see this channel, more people to support this channel, more people to get this information. So please hit that like button if you have not already. So let's get into it. Once again, this guy is not an expert. We're examining him and what he's talking about.
Blacks, Negroes, niggas, niggers.
Let me start from the beginning.
The talk of yours that really got me so interested in what your message is, is your 4, I think it's titled The 4 Types of Black Americans.
Yeah.
I'd love for you to share a little bit about that here with me. So what are the 4 types?
Blacks, Negroes, niggas, niggers. So the first group being blacks, like I said, hardworking, honest. We as Black people, it's, I would say, only 20%.
Now remember, he said we as Black people. He's considering himself in the group of Black people. Remember, he said Black people, Negroes, niggers, and niggas from his. And he's now starting off to saying we Black people. So he's putting himself in a category of Black people. So let's pay attention.
Of the population. We know exactly where we want to go. We don't want to be represented by the negative aspects of our culture and our community. Niggas. We don't want to be represented by that. It doesn't matter if they're Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter if they're rich or poor. They don't want to be represented by a culture that's toxic. They don't want to be represented by people who are taking advantage of them. We as Black people, we want to be represented by those who are going to be in our interests and support us as a people and drive us forward as a people.
Now, my theory of him is he's a nigga and he just don't know it. So yeah. Will, yeah. He's a nigga. He just don't know it. He classifies himself as a black person, but the last time we covered him, he was buck dancing for the Republican Party.
So like I said, it's your average black person that speaks well, hardworking, God-loving, country-loving. They're not going to sit back and blame someone for their shortcomings, complain about, well, I can't get by because of something that happened a century before they existed. No, they're motivated to do more with what they have and build upon that. I mean, we live in America. What the fuck?
So what has he built? And this group of black people that he's talking about, what are they building? Because we know most black people in America are not building anything as a group. Whether, even in his 4 categories, whether you black people, Negroes, niggers, and niggas, ain't no building happening. There's small percentages of people, of black folk, who are here actually building something, but it's more so on an individual level. Says Joseph, I'm a strong proponent of Dr. John Henry Clark, as well as when it comes to educating our misled. The type of black conservative comfort on the plantation gets magnified under FBA. You think the plantation, you said the type of conservative comfort on the plantation gets magnified by FBA? Give me an example. Give me an example of what you're talking about, because I don't think that that's true, that the conservative comfort on the plantation gets magnified under FBA. Maybe you've seen something different that I've seen. I'm not saying I have seen it all. Give me an example of what you're talking about.
A black American. I could be somewhere in Angola. I could be somewhere in Zimbabwe. That's a different experience. And broadly, that's black in the whole sense, right? But a black American and African is completely different. We have the greatest amount of opportunity and wealth, and we don't do anything with it. But black people like myself, at 20%, we're not going to sit back and keep our heads down. We're going to keep our heads forward and keep it high, because we know exactly where we're.
But you are not building anything for yourselves. You're not building anything for black people. That's the thing. You keep saying nobody's building anything. And anything that you do goes into the advancement of white people, this internalized inferiority. Remember, internalized inferiority, one of the symptoms of it is the assimilation into white culture, right? And he's talking about the greatest, we're in the greatest position. Remember, white supremacy is a global phenomenon. We're going to sit here and act like Africa has not been stripped of everything because of white supremacy. Because we keep talking as if nothing happened in Africa, like the history in Africa didn't happen. And African people just woke up one day and decided to be what they are today. Like, come on, man. Europe wouldn't be what it is without the constant taking from Africa. Right, but does this, and thank you, first of all, thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate you on the $5 super chat.
All this money, homie. I got all this money, homie.
Now, I agree. This is a perfect example of black conservative comfort on the plantation behavior, but how does this tie to FBA? That's what I'm asking. Like, how does someone like him, because I agree, he's a buck dancing, conservative, plantation, knee living, booty kisser. I agree with him, but I don't see how his thing ties to the FBA. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. How does that tie to FBA? Unless you're saying you see FBA people behave like this. And like I'm saying, I'm not saying I've seen all FBA, but I haven't seen some FBA behave like this, because most people I see behave like this don't really tie themselves to FBA. They may actually be FBA, but they may not tie themselves to FBA by verbalizing.
We're gonna go and what we're gonna do. That's the first part.
But he's full of himself too.
Not looking for a shortcut.
No shortcuts, no handouts, none of that. I don't want reparations, the greatest reparations package that I'm here in this country.
And see, well,
I can prosper, I can live, I can exist. I'm not in Africa where the entire economic and social conditions are different. I'm not somewhere in the Caribbean where, it's close to America, but
like he knows
even
what
with that, the economic and social conditions are different. I'm in the United States where my ancestors were enslaved, but guess what? They overcame it. And now they exist today. And I exist today because of them, because of their resilience, because of their sacrifice, because they kept their heads high, believing that in the future, Black men and women will be free. And we all as Americans will be free to do as we feel necessary to do for our own existence, for our own survival. So
participation does not mean ownership. He's the Negro who's happy to be next to white people. Internalized inferiority. That's what the trauma has led to. That's why I started with the foundation that I started to. Our minds are all scrambled up. So this guy's like, hey, I'm a Black person. I'm a good Black. He thinks he's the example of what Black people are supposed to be. That's the funny part about it.
That's the first group. That's the 20% of the Black community, the Blacks right there.
And the second group?
My favorite, the house Negro, my favorite. Because it's an interesting, when you get into that, modern house Negro, they would say, people who don't like me would say, I'm a coon, I'm an Uncle Tom, I'm a house Negro.
He's not an Uncle Tom.
The people that really are both Democrat and Republican. This is more the politics conversation and more the power, economics, class. Within the Black community, you have Black Democrats, and majority of Black people vote Democrat. And you have the Black conservative, the Black Republican, which I fall into that category, but I'm my own thing. I really don't. Bull.
He's a stark conservative. We have so many. We can go. You own YouTube, brother. See, he's trying to wiggle his way out of this. He just told us he was a house Negro. Let's run it back. He just told us he's a house Negro.
Conversation and more the power, economics, class.
Listen,
within the Black community, you have Black Democrats, and majority of Black people vote Democrat.
He's saying like he's not.
And you have the Black conservative, the Black Republican, which I fall into that category, but I'm my own thing.
Bull.
I really don't.
Bull. You are the quintessential Black conservative. Bull.
Don't subscribe to a political party. I love my country. I love my people.
Quintessential Black
and I want us to prosper. That's all that matters to me. I don't really care.
You don't fall in. He's saying he don't fall into he ain't tied to a political party, but his ideology is all conservative party. His ideology is all conservative party, but he don't fall under a particular political party, but your ideology is all conservative.
The Republican Party wins the midterms. I don't really care if I have a Republican president. I care about if I have a leader that can represent us as Americans. And of course, me being Black, I want someone who can serve the interests of Black people. If I was white, I would want the same thing. So it's a very interesting conversation when you get into the difference and how they're really similar. Both Democrat, Republican, Black.
You don't really know what he's talking about.
The Black Republican will sit back and tell you, especially now, they're very pro-Israel, they're very pro-establishment, and they don't really talk about the Black issues because many of them are country Blacks that never really had to live around the nigga shit, the nigga culture, which nigga culture is Black, Black culture is nigga culture. They never had to live around that. Or there are Black kids who lived in suburbia. They went to nice schools.
Now you heard him say Black culture is nigga culture. So that shows you how he sees himself and his people. Because there's a difference between Black culture and nigga culture. There's a stark difference. There's a stark difference between Black culture and nigga culture. But when you have this internalized inferiority, you can't separate it. John Henry, thank you again for the $10 contribution, my brother. He says, the tie into FBA is him separating and minimizing the experiences of the African diaspora to claim only in America. The Africans rise up to become. Hold on. The tie into FBA is him separating and minimizing the experiences of the African diaspora to claim only in America. The Africans rise up to become successful. What? So you're saying the experience. Hold on, let me run my song.
Look at all this money, homie. I got all this money, homie.
Yeah, appreciate your support. So you're saying that the experience in America needs to be tied to the diaspora. It's not, you're saying there's no separation between the experience in America and the diaspora. So because a lot of pushback will be, well, what makes the diaspora up is all the different experiences. And because, FBA is specific to what happened here in America, like Jamaican is specific to what happened in Jamaican, and Haitian is specific to what happened to Haitian in Haiti, because that's, and from my understanding, that's what makes the diaspora, the differences of it, because it's not the same, because all of the stuff has happened differently to different people with the different experiences. So from my experience, from my understanding of it, you were saying, did Africans rise up and become successful? In what manner? And what you mean, in what manner did Africans rise up and become successful? Like after European contact? Because Africa ain't really in the best position. I don't know. I think we have successful individuals throughout the diaspora, but we don't have successful groups of successful countries of Black people throughout the diaspora. So that's what I would say with that. Like, we do have successful individuals throughout the diaspora, but I wouldn't say, I don't know where we can truly point to say Africa was successful. I don't know. Maybe you could school me. I don't know. I'm not saying I know it all.
They have gone to, the HBCUs, and they got bullied as Black liberals and became conservative because they didn't want to be left out, because they didn't want to be a part of, not without a group. They didn't want to be considered, I'm alone. They couldn't do the thinking, the critical thinking to build their own worldview and build their own identity. So they need another group to fall into.
He's telling his origin.
So that I despise them the most, because they're the closest thing to me in terms of ideologically, in terms of voting. And they do a great disservice in trying to provide a viable alternative vote socially and economically for Black people. The Black Democrat, he is, I can respect him because he understands exactly what he believes, as much as I disagree. One is grifting, the Black Republican, the Black conservative. The Black Democrats are stupid. That's it. And stupid, all that means is, you know better, you're just choosing not to do better. They'll sit back and sell the poisonous lie that Black people are oppressed, that, it's the white man's fault, that, we're forever to be victims. And they capitalize on that Black pain and that Black lack of drive, lack of purpose in order to win elections. Biggest example, Jasmine Crockett. I was just telling somebody this on the street. Jasmine Crockett. She didn't come from the ghetto. She didn't come from a poor background. She went to law school. She had a 2-parent household. She's not somebody that came from the bottom. But when she gets
right. So great example. So according to him, Jasmine Crockett would come from the class that he would call Black people, but she out here acting like that, which means Jasmine Crockett has really always been a nigger. Same as him.
On TV, she'll put on this act and she'll start talking and snapping and trying to act like the average Black woman from, Compton, or from Detroit, or from Richmond, or from anywhere you can name predominantly Black.
Right.
It's like you don't come from that. Well. So why are you trying to pretend to be that? Why are you trying to? Because they want to sell nigga identity to win.
But see, there are two types of acts that Black folk put on in this country to try to move ahead. And he's talking to us like we stupid. There are two acts. You're either going to put on this act that he's putting on, this polished up Negro act, like I'm prepping proper act, the Jack and Jill Negro act, or you're going to put on the ghetto act. There are two acts that black people use, two tropes that they use. This conservative, because look, think about how many videos we've covered on this channel going live of these black conservatives with this proper Europeanized mindset and way of living and all these things here, thinking that they're better than, and because he's really here like he's the epitome of blackness. And then you have the ghetto trope that they use. It's two tropes that black folk use. And we see the trope that he's using. Now, thank you again, Mr. John Henry. Thank you again for the $5 contribution.
Look at all this money, homie. I got all this money, homie.
He said, per Dr. John Henry Clark, blacks need to stop focusing on where the boat dropped us off and recognize where we were all taken from. And that's cool. I get it. No disrespect to John Henry Clark, and I love Dr. Clark, but Pan-Africanism hasn't panned out, and Pan-Africanism doesn't pan out if groups of people cannot self-actualize. So how can Black America truly contribute to Pan-Africanism when Black America don't exist? In order for Black America to be a strong chain in the link of Pan-Africanism, Black America has to self-actualize. In order for Haiti to be a strong chain in the link, Haiti has to self-actualize. All groups of people on a national level have to strengthen themselves, empower themselves, uplift themselves. We have to create for ourselves. We have to become a strong community of people. We have to become a strong nation of people as Black Americans. And if we don't do that, how are we any good to Pan-Africanism? We can't escape being Black American. We can't escape that. Just like a Black Cuban cannot escape being a Black Cuban. A Black person from Tanzania cannot escape being a Black person from Tanzania. But how are you any good to Pan-Africanism as a scattered group of people? At what point is it okay for Black Americans to self-actualize and recognize ourselves as Black Americans? Because at some point we have to do that. Unless we just want Pan-Africanism just to say it, and we have nothing come out of it, which has been the history. Well, you know. All right, you got another $10.
Look at all this money, homie. I got all this money, homie.
You said you have an ally in me, right? But we have to understand that Black misinformation, like what we're hearing, is the separatist training internalized in Black MAGA via the sharp tongue of Messiah's bullwhip. Now, let me repeat what I'm saying. Forget what to do. Let me put me on the screen. Listen to me. Think about Pan-Africanism. Think about the diaspora as a chain. It's a chain. Any weakness in the chain leads to the chain breaking. But you don't have a chain without the individual links being able to link between each other. So every group of Black people throughout the diaspora is a link in the chain of Pan-Africanism. And every link has to be strong. Nationalism has to precede Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is the ultimate goal of the diaspora, but nationalism has to precede that. If Black Americans are never able to self-actualize as Black people in America with our own unique history and our own unique experience, if we're never able to do that, how do we help Pan-Africanism? How do we help? How are we any asset to it? How are we any ally to it? We're not. Scattered groups of people don't make allies. Scattered groups of people don't make the chain of Pan-Africanism strong. I'm not saying we should not be allies. I'm not saying that we should not work together. What I'm saying is what will make us work together stronger is after we self-actualize. All groups of people in the world need to be able to self-actualize, to strengthen yourself, to become a nation of people. I don't understand how me encouraging all groups of people in the diaspora to self-actualize and strengthen ourselves. I'm just trying to make sure, are you saying that you're hearing that as separatist rhetoric? And if so, I'm not getting what you're getting. You're saying this is where we disagree. It's not a universally held belief that Black nationalism has to exceed, and that's the problem. That's the problem. That's the problem. That's the problem. That's one of the problems. So you're saying that black people in America, forget us making sure we have our stuff together. Forget that. We should not have our stuff together. And we should never make sure we're good in America. We should only make sure we're good on the Pan-African scale. That don't make sense. How does that work? Explain to me, how does Pan-Africanism precede nationalism? How? Why would you invite a disjointed, disunited group of people to the table to do what? You're literally gonna invite a group of people to the table who can't help themselves to help you? How does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? So you're saying, don't help yourselves first. Don't help yourselves first. Help other people first. Because that is how you help yourself in turn. Well, how has Pan-Africanism historically actually helped any group to self-actualize? Well, you just said this is where I disagree. It's not a universally held belief that Black nationalism has to exceed Pan-Africanism. You just said that. This is what you just said. You just said this. You just said that. So what did you mean? Help me understand what you meant, because this is what you said. This is where we disagree. It is not a universally held belief that Black nationalism has to exceed Pan-Africanism. And that's why I said that's the problem. That's the problem. Why would you want a disorganized group of people to come to your thing? Why wouldn't you want an organized, united group of people to help you? Help me understand. Because people who want that internalized inferiority. We're talking about internalized inferiority. No, that's not how this works. I don't drop the link to discuss. That's not how this works. You don't just jump up on my screen like that. We got to have a discussion. I got rules on this podcast. If you want to talk, because we didn't plan to have you on this. So if you want to talk, you email me and we'll talk and we'll set it up. But articulate your stuff right here. Articulate your stuff right here. You said that not everybody agrees that nationalism should precede the pan. So I'm just saying. Help me. Why should Pan-Africanism be put before nationalism? Why shouldn't a group of people who've been disenfranchised for over 500 years be able to heal themselves and unite themselves and go on to be a stronger group of people to overall help the larger group of Black people, to help the diaspora? Help me understand that. But that goes right into the topic of everything that we're talking about. The way we see ourselves. We don't even want to see ourselves at our best. That's crazy. How do we not want to see ourselves at our best? You think I don't want to see Haitians at their best? You think I don't want to see people in Honduras at their best? I want every group of people in the diaspora to unite, to empower themselves, and be a strong link in the chain of Pan-Africanism. Every group of African people, every group of people part of diaspora should be doing that. Every group of people. And if you're not doing that, they're showing us how much they've internalized the inferiority. Only people who internalize inferiority don't want to empower themselves, don't seek to empower themselves. Why would Black Americans put our problems to the side and never fix our problems to help somebody else fix their problems? Hell, you don't even do that on the nap plane. You put your mask on first. You're not welcome to my table if you don't have your stuff together. As a Black person, part of this diaspora, you're no good to me if you don't have your stuff together. I don't want anybody who still don't see themselves as powerful, who still the internalized inferiority is still hiding them. I don't want you at the table. I don't want you a part of anything I have going on. Those are the people that we're separating from. If you don't have high self-esteem, we can't use you. If you don't love yourself, we can't use you. If you don't see the value in yourself and your people, we can't use you. You're not helping anything. But that's the reason why this channel exists, so we can push back on a lot of stuff. If we really want to talk about real Pan-Africanism, we have to really talk about real nationalism. Yes, all groups of Black people, wherever you are from, you need to be a united group of people. And then you cannot see yourself as better than any other group of people. It's okay to see yourself as different. Why? Because you is. Black people in South Africa are not the same as Black people in the United States of America. But we all have a common enemy. And we all should be working toward a common goal of getting rid of the system of white supremacy, replacing it with justice. But I know we got off track a little bit, but let's let Andre talk a little more, and then we're gonna close this thing out.
People who don't know, who are not informed, who are not.
Hold up, let me get my screen back.
Educated on the current political conversation or current events in order to win. It's no different than what we see with immigration, what we see with so many different things. You have an elite that will use the bottom, the useful idiots, as a means to get what they want. And with immigration, I mean, people have always been coming to this country. People are always going to come to this country. But both parties use immigration as a way to maintain economic power. Republicans do that. And then Democrats, voting power. It's not good for us as a country. It's not good for me as a Black person, not good for any white person. Nobody's saying that people can't come here, but when we have people pouring into our country, what does it do economically? What does it do culturally? What does it do into the demographics of this country? That's not a good thing. We want people to have better lives. We want people to prosper. But if I'm not able to eat, if I'm not able to get a job, if most of my generation is going to be working 2 jobs just to get by, they're having their first kid, they're struggling economically, they're up their neck into debt. Why are we letting people in when we can't even take care of our own? It doesn't make any sense. But both parties, they benefit from that. And then going back to the Black thing, both Democrat and Republican benefit from Black Republicans not acknowledging the problem, talking about it from afar and being the useful opposition. And then the Black Democrat feeding off that Black pain and pinning one against each other, when really this is a class thing. Honestly, it's a class thing. And that's controversial for someone on the right to say that, to talk about class. Usually it's a left-leaning thing, but who cares about right and left? It's more about what is beneficial for us as Americans and as a whole.
That's a conservative.
So what is the third
conservative ideology?
Niggas.
Which he is.
60%. 60% of the Black community is filled with niggas. Loud, ghetto, argumentative.
No.
Entitled.
No. First of all, the first 2 characteristics, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Loud, ghetto, argumentative. That's not what niggas are. Niggas don't have to just be loud, ghetto, and argumentative. Niggas come in all shapes, forms, and fashions. If you are a person who your overall behavior is destructive to yourself and your people, you a nigga. Just because you can be the most well-mannered person and be a nigga. Stop it.
I've said this many times. It really comes from the black Gen Xers.
And once again, this is how niggas like him tried to separate themselves from other niggas by starting off with the first three characteristics: loud, ghetto, argumentative. No. That's the stereotypical nigga, but that's not the everyday nigga. Yeah, y'all, we act like niggas not in not in Congress. Like niggas ain't politicians, like niggas ain't principals. Like niggas come in all shapes, forms, and fashions. Any black person whose mindset and everything they work to is to advance the system of white supremacy and make sure that the black people around them can't advance. And they'll even destroy themselves. Those are niggas. Don't fall for the quintessential definition of a nigga. Once again, his internalized inferiority.
And so there's a generational element that comes into that. That's a big problem. You know, they walk around with a chip on their shoulder. Somebody owes me something. Nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you anything other than a blanket when you're born, taxes when you're living, and a coffin when you're dead. That's it. That's the three things you get in life. That's it. And right now I got the blanket and I'm paying the taxes and we ain't dead yet. I don't know about the coffin, so we're doing pretty good. All right, that's it. That's the only things I've been given, and that's it. But niggas will be non-violent, but very aggressive in their rhetoric and in the way they operate. And it's hard to really say this, but someone needs to say it because
niggerdom is about outcomes. Don't get lost in the performance. Niggerdom is about outcomes or lack of outcomes. Don't get caught up in the performance aspect of what people try to lead you to think what niggatry truly is. It's about an outcome or lack of outcome.
Because that's how we are. And stereotypes exist for a reason. They don't exist because someone just put them on. They exist because it's an examination of behavior. Today's racism isn't, I don't like you because you're different. That's, 100 years ago when the world wasn't so interconnected. You didn't have a vast means of travel by land, by sea, by air. No one really saw, what that black person looked like, and only a few people did. No one saw what an Asian looked like, only a few people did. So it was very new. But today's racism is more, your behavior's poor. You're acting like a nigga. I don't like that.
Racism.
This is unbecoming of what the standard is in a civilized society. We don't want this in our society. That's what it is today. And when you tell black people that, they get mad and say, no, they just being racist. Okay, what's racism? There's nothing systematically holding you back.
What?
You just don't like you being called out for your actions.
What? Nothing systematically holding us back. So you're telling us that if we go system by system by system in America, we cannot find any inequalities, anything in these systems that doesn't negatively impact black people. Really? According to Andre Williams, really? And so, and remember what another trick he's doing is he's taking the lowest class of black people and blowing it up. He's taking the complaints and all this stuff and the behavior, the mindsets, all this up the lowest class of black people. The ones who are the most disenfranchised. This is what this is the group he's looking at, and this is the group he's saying this represents us. I'm going to pick on the lowest group of people, and this represents us. This is the black folk mindset. He don't even realize he's more of a nigga than anybody walking through a project. The fact that he think that he's better than because of his proximity to whiteness or his white conservative mindset, because he has a white Christian nationalist mindset. The fact that he think his mindset is better than any other black person shows you. Once again, one of the outcomes of the inferiority complex is proximity to whiteness.
So niggas will sit back and complain, and there's a reason for why I do it. There's a reason for why I make the content. There's a reason for why I speak the way I do it. Because it's really to piss them off. You gotta piss them off. Because I will not be represented. I will not sit back as a 25-year-old. I will not sit back in 20 years.
Oh, here, little boy.
And have somebody that's 20 or 25 coming to me and saying, you failed. And we are worse off, or even the problems that still exist, they persist and they're worse than when you started. I won't sit back and allow that to be me.
But it's going to happen.
That's niggas.
It's going to happen whether you want to or not.
And then?
Niggers. The no-no word, you can't say that one. But we're saying it because someone needs to say it. It's a harsh one. I know it's very uncomfortable for people because there's a historical context to the term. I can't sit back and completely just disregard that. But the reason for why I do is because you have to separate. I'm big on segregation in the black community. You have to separate black people from the niggas and niggers. You have to. You got to do that.
See,
modern day house.
I agree that we need to separate black people from niggas. And we're going to see his definition between niggas and niggas. But I agree we need to separate black people from niggas. I agree that. But like him, a lot of folks think they're going to be in the black person category, and they're not. And once again, they think because they don't exhibit ghetto behavior that they not niggas. Bullshit. Everything you do is for the white man. Everything you do uplifts and empowers the white man. Your whole ideology is white conservative Christian. Stop it. See, over here, we ain't dumb over here. We ain't dumb over here. He don't get it. He don't know no better, right? Divine by nature. He don't know no better. He really think he cooking, but he think he cooking. But remember, white folk done already told all these Negroes who live on their knees that you are not welcome in their homes. You're not welcome in their lives. You're not welcome in their nation. You're not welcome in anything that they build for themselves. Even the white people want to separate. And you are not welcome. But he's going to do whatever he can to make sure that he's seen well by them white folk. And he's a real nigga. And I'm using the word strongly with him. He's a nigga. He can either be the A or the ER, either one he want to be. He's a nigga or a nigger, whatever. And you can tell by how he talks, how he walks, all these things here. The ideology, the mindset, the fact that he think that just because you live in the ghetto and all that stuff, then you're a nigga. Nah, bro, it's about actions, deeds, morality, outcomes, all those things. Everything you do is to position yourself to be more favored by white people, which means you a nigga.
The house Negro is going to manipulate. He completely will be X'd out because he enables the behavior of the niggas and niggers he does. He doesn't want to work with the black person because the black person is going in his own direction and he can't make money off that. But the niggas and niggers, he can make money off that. But niggers are very, honestly, the drug dealers, the murderers, the rapists, the people you see on the 5 o'clock news, they got a long, extensive criminal history. In some cases, they've been neglected.
So we're gonna sit here and say Clarence Thomas ain't a nigga? Are we gonna really sit here and say Clarence Thomas ain't a nigga? Because I guarantee you, Clarence Thomas don't fit all the characteristics that he described. Clarence Thomas don't fit that. But we're gonna sit here and say Clarence Thomas ain't a nigga. Are we really gonna say that? Like, once again, the idea is I want you to pay attention to the people who are in the worst areas, in the disenfranchised areas, in the criminal-ridden areas. I want you to pay attention to them and their behaviors, because he already told you earlier that he a house nigga. He already told you that. He already told you that he's a conservative leaning house nigga. He tried to clean it up. Like, I'm my own man. I don't really subscribe to either party. I have a conservative views, but I'm my own man. No, he already told us he was a house nigga. And then he's trying to do inferiority complex. Look. Inferiority complex shows up today with distrust within the community. Lack of long-term collective vision. He keep talking about us black people. We ain't done nothing. I consider myself a black person, and I'm being honest. We ain't done nothing. Black people ain't building nothing. All we doing is not exhibiting the same characteristics as people that we would deem as niggas. But we ain't building nothing. And he's not a black person. Destructive conflict, economic disunity, validation seeking outside the group. That's how we know he has internalized inferiority. He seeks validation from the white folk. And he think he's a better class of black person, which is a problem. When you go around thinking you're a better class of black person. Not only was the ghetto created, all of the ills in the ghetto is reinforced. But if he was intelligent, he would know that. Like myself, I've rarely gotten help in my life. I mean, let me put myself on this screen. Forget Andre Williams. I've rarely gotten help in my life. I have a you eat what you kill mentality. And not because I'm a conservative or any kind of political affiliation, because of how life has played out for me. I learned early that nobody was going to come and save me. I learned early that if I was going to get anywhere in life and I was going to do anything, I was going to have to create opportunity for myself. And the only reasons I've had opportunities is once again because I created them for myself. And the rare times that other people have created opportunities for me, I've made good on those opportunities, and then use those opportunities to create opportunities for other people. So when these conservative people be up here talking about, and we ain't listening to Andre no more. I just wanted him to give you all his definition of the 4 types of black people, right? So nobody's giving me anything. When I hear these conservatives talking about, well, you can't be in it, I've never had my hand out. I've never had my hand out for anything, and I still don't share the same views as these black conservatives. I don't share the same views as these black liberals. I share the same views as everyday black people who work on a regular basis to make our community better, and who've been doing it with little to no help. Because these are the real black people, the ones who are out every day with little to no help, working blood, sweat, and tears to make our community better. Not some fake ass white man lover sitting up here acting prim and proper like he's the authority on black people. Like he's the one who defines who we are and what we do. Like he's better than us. When all he did was display his inferiority complex. All he did was display how he does not love himself, how he does not love from people, how the vacant esteem exists. There's no moving forward without healing. There's no moving forward without healing. And that's what I'm saying earlier. All groups of black people, all groups of people throughout the diaspora need healing. Everybody don't need the same exact type healing, but all groups of people in the diaspora need healing. Once we heal ourselves, we can start to unite ourselves and build power. Imagine if black people throughout the diaspora got our stuff together on the national level and then united on the Pan-African level or the diasporic level. Imagine what that would look like. White people would be in trouble. Asians would be in trouble. Everybody would be in trouble. But it starts with you taking care of your home. You understanding what's going on. And when you internalize that you are less than, And you keep listening to stuff like this, like you less than. Of course, nobody likes that the lowest forms of Black culture have now been pushed to say that this is authentic Black culture. We're all pushing back against that. That I agree with him on. We're all pushing back against that. But the fact that we're going to act like, well, for him, the fact that he's going to act like his niggatry is different. I'm just saying. When you don't understand racism and how it works, everything else will confuse you. People sitting up here like Bud, look at him. Oh, hold on, I didn't stop myself. But let me show you. He like Buddy really sitting up here like he's the authority. Look how he's looking, the smug look on his face, like he knows what he's talking about. All he did was take popular talking points and then just say them in a way that make him feel good about himself. But he can't really go deep on this stuff. He don't really understand this stuff. Because the idea is Black people just woke up one day and decide that we were just going to be horrible people. That's the idea. Bull. This is what white people made us into. But now, choosing to remain there is the problem. Like him thinking that he's in a place to where it's good for us. Yeah, his parents did fail him. No accountability, none of that. Because I'm better than you all. Because I'm closer to white people, so I'm better than you all. Remember in the beginning, people who speak well and all these things. So make sure you meet all the standards of whiteness. If you don't meet all the standards of whiteness, then you failed as a Black person. Because if you have to meet the standards of whiteness, that means you've internalized your inferiority. I don't give a damn how white people perceive me. All my people better because of my actions and my deeds. And if my people aren't better because of my actions and my deeds, then I failed. Fuck how white people view me. Fuck if somebody think I speak proper or not. Fuck if somebody think I dress proper or not. What does that have to do with my people being better? We got to learn to love ourselves. We have to fight to love ourselves. Self-love is a daily fight. It's a daily choice. Hey, Black people, ain't nobody gonna come save us. That's one thing I do agree with a lot of the conservatives is nobody's gonna come save us. But at the same time, we have to save ourselves. That means we have to work together. Conservatives don't believe in working together. They believe in the rugged individualism. And they believe in the rugged individualism that leads to white proximity. That's how you stay a powerless group of people. But remember, they're not concerned with group power. They're concerned with individual power, individual achievements, individual accolades, individual upliftment. And that's not how you build power as a group of people. Black American people, nobody's going to do it for us. Black Caribbean people, nobody's going to do it for you. Black people on the continent, nobody's going to do it for you. Black people in Europe, nobody's going to do it for you. Black people in Australia, nobody's going to do it for you. Black people in the South Pacific, nobody's going to do it for you. If we don't do it for ourselves, on our individual and collective levels, it's never going to happen. I'm down with FBA, and I'm down with Pan-Africanism. Fight me if you don't like it. I'm going to say it again. I'm down with FBA, and I'm down with Pan-Africanism. You don't like it, fight me. I believe every group of people, I'm down with nationalism. I believe every group of people need to strengthen themselves to be a strong link in the chain and then we unite on the diasporic level. That being said, man, y'all enjoy y'all Saturday. I appreciate y'all. Have a good Saturday. Make sure you take care of yourselves, take care of our minds, your community, your people, your family. Let's make sure we go about being better. We come on here to trade ideas and talk and debate and all those things here respectfully. And then we go back into the community to do real work to get real tangible outcomes. My man, John Henry, email me, John Henry. Yeah, I'm gonna hit you up. We need to talk. We do need to talk. John Henry, email me. Email me so we can talk. On the shoulders one at gmail.com. John Henry, email me. On the shoulders one, the numeral one. On the shoulders, the numeral one at gmail.com. Email me, my brother. With that being said, man, I love you all. Make sure y'all catch the videos that I have I dropped today. Make sure you catch video I dropped Friday. All the videos on YouTube is tripping with the algorithm. So make sure you hit the like button, hit the hype button, share it, and make sure as many people see this. Free support. So I catch y'all on the other side, man. Happy Saturday.